I was going through awards the other day, just looking for inspiration for the next video, and I landed on this site that had just won site of the day on 21st of last month. And the first thing you see on the landing page is this infinite image slider that animates on scroll, but it's not that typical horizontal carousel. The slides are arranged along this curved arc, and as you scroll, they flow through it, growing larger and rising up as they approach the center, then shrinking and dropping away as they move toward the edges. The motion is just clean, polished, and seamless. Nothing more, nothing less, and that's exactly what makes it so effective. I hadn't seen us build anything quite like this on the channel, so I knew I had to give it a go. After a few hours of experimenting, I landed on this version, built entirely with vanilla JavaScript and GSAP, no frameworks, no dependencies beyond that. And the way it's structured, everything is driven by a small set of config values, slide dimensions, gap, arc intensity, scroll easing, so you can reshape the entire feel of the slider just by adjusting a few numbers. In this video, I'll take you through the full build. For those who are interested, I've also built a Next.js version of this, which is available through the Pro membership. If you find my work helpful, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you'd like to access the source code for this project, along with hundreds of other similar micro projects and a brand new website template every month, you can check out the Pro membership via the link in the description. Alright, let's jump into the code. Let's start with the markup. The structure here is really simple. We just need a single section element with the class slider. This is going to act as the container for the entire slider. Inside it, I'll add a paragraph element with the ID slide title and some placeholder text. We'll use this later to display the name of whichever slide is currently in the center of the arc. For now, it just sits there as a static label. We'll wire it up once the scroll logic is in place. And that's it for the HTML. Everything else, the slide elements, the images, we'll be generating all of that dynamically through JavaScript. So let's move on to the styling now. First, I'm importing New Montreal font from an external CDN. It's a clean, modern sans serif font that works really well with this kind of minimal layout. Then I'll do a standard reset, removing all default margins and paddings and setting every element to border box sizing. Just gives us a clean slate so nothing behaves unexpectedly. For the body, I'll apply that imported font as the typeface for the entire page. For images, I'm setting them to fill their containers completely, 100% width, 100% height with object width cover so they scale proportionally without any stretching or distortion. Now for the slider section, this is the main container for everything. I am setting it to position relative since all the slides inside will be absolutely positioned. Full width, full viewport height, and overflow hidden. For each individual slide, position absolute. This makes them out of the normal document flow so we can place them wherever we want using JavaScript. I'm also adding will change for transform, width, and height. This is a performance hint that tells the browser these properties are going to be animated frequently so it can optimize rendering ahead of time. And finally, the slide title. I'm positioning it absolutely toward the bottom of the slider. It's centered horizontally with a medium font weight. This just sits there as a label that will update dynamically later to show the name of whatever slide is currently at the center of the arc. And that's all we need for the CSS. Let's move on to the JavaScript, which is where everything comes to life. First things first, I'll import GSAP. This is the only dependency we need for this entire slider. We'll be using it to apply transforms to each slide on every frame. Next, let's define our configuration. I'll set up a group of constants at the top of the file. Every aspect of how it looks and feels is controlled right here. We have got the base width and height of each slide, then the gap between each slide along the track, the total number of slides, the arc depth, which controls how far the edge slides drop below the center lift, which gives the center slide a little extra push upward, and finally the scroll left value, which controls how smoothly the slider eases toward its target scroll position. Everything downstream reads from these values. Now let's set up the image paths. I'm generating an array of the file paths, one for each slide, pointing to images in the public directory. This just loops from 1 to 9 and creates paths like image1.jpg, image2.jpg, and so on. So as long as your images follow that naming pattern, they'll get picked up automatically. Below that, I'll define an array of titles, one for each slide. These are labels that will display at the bottom of the slider whenever a particular slide reaches the center of the arc. Each title matches up with its corresponding image by index. Next, I need references to the two DOM elements we set up in the HTML, the slider container and the title display. Now let's calculate some layout values that the positioning math will depend on. First is the track width. That's the total number of slides multiplied by the gap between them. This represents the full virtual width of our slide track. It's what we'll use to wrap slides around so the loop feels infinite. Then I'm reading the current window dimensions, width and height along with two derived values. The horizontal center of the viewport, which is just half the window width, and the arc baseline Y position, which I'm setting at 40% of the window height. This is the vertical anchor point. The center slide will sit around this line and everything else radiates outward from it along the arc. Now let's actually create the slide elements. I'll loop through the image sources array, and for each one, I create a div with the class slide, then create an image element, set its source to the corresponding path, and nest it inside the slide div. Then I append that whole thing to the slider container. So by the end of this loop, we have got 9 slide elements in the DOM, each one containing an image, all sitting inside our slider section. Finally, I collect all of those slide elements into an array using GSAP's toArray utility. This gives us a clean, static array of every slide in the DOM, which is exactly what we need so we can loop through them later and position each one individually on every frame. If we check the browser now, you'll see the images are there, but they are all stacked on top of each other at their default position. That's expected. We haven't told them where to go yet. That's what we'll do next. Compute the arc position for each slide. So let's write the core function behind this entire slider, the one that figures out exactly where each slide should be positioned, how big it should be, and where it sits along the arc. I'll call it compute slide transform. It takes 2 arguments, the index of the slide we are computing for and the current scroll offset. The first thing we need to figure out is the slide's horizontal position, but with wrapping, so the slides loop infinitely. Each slide starts at a base position, which is just its index multiplied by the gap. Then we subtract the scroll offset. That's what makes them move when the user scrolls. But since we only have 9 slides and we want them to loop forever, we use the module operator to wrap that value within the total track width. This way, when a slide drifts off one end, it seamlessly reappears on the other. There is one more step to the wrapping. If the wrapped value ends up in the far half of the track, we shift it back by the full track width. This is what keeps the slides evenly distributed around the center rather than bunching up on one slide. Without this, the arc would look lopsided. Now that we have the wrapped horizontal offset, we can figure out where the slide actually sits on the screen. We add that offset to the horizontal center of the viewport, giving us the slide's center X position. From there, we calculate how far that slide is from the center of the screen as a normalized value. 0 means it's dead center, 1 means it's at the edge of the viewport, and we cap it to 1.3, so even slides that drift slightly off screen still get a valid position instead of flying off to infinity. With that distance value, we can now calculate 3 things. First, the scale. Slides at the center get full size. As they move toward the edges, they shrink, scaling down to as small as 25% of their base dimensions. This is what creates that focal point effect where the center slide dominates and everything else recedes. Second, the arc drop. This is the vertical offset that pushes edge slides downward. I'm using a cosine curve here, which gives a smooth, natural looking arc rather than a harsh linear drop. Slides near the center barely move vertically, but slides at the edges drop down significantly. The arc depth constant controls how dramatic that curve is. And third, the center lift. This is a small bonus that pushes slides near the very center a little higher. It only kicks in for slides that are really close, within about half a viewport width of center, and it fades out quickly. Finally, the function returns everything the layout needs: the X position centered on the slide scale width, the Y position combining the arc baseline, the arc drop, and the center lift, the scaled width and height, a Z index so center slides layer on top of edge slides, and the raw distance from center, which we'll use later to figure out which slide is currently active. Now that we have the math, let's put it to use. I'll create a function called layout slides that takes the current scroll offset and loops through every slide element. For each one, it calls compute slide transform to get the position and size data, then use GSAP set method to apply those values directly to the DOM element, X, Y, width, height, and Z index, all in one call, all GPU friendly. And right below that, I'll call it once with a scroll offset to 0, so the slides get their initial positions as soon as the page loads. If we check the browser now, there it is, all 9 slides arranged along the arc, scaled and positioned exactly where they should be. But right now, it's completely static. Let's fix that by adding the scroll. For the scroll animation, I need to track 2 values, a target and a current. The target is where the scroll wants to be. It updates instantly whenever the user scrolls. The current is where the scroll actually is. It eases toward the target smoothly over time. The gap between these two is what creates that buttery love-based motion. Now let's listen for scroll input. I'll attach a wheel event listener to the slider container. Whenever the user scrolls, we prevent the default behavior since we don't want the page to actually scroll, and instead add the scroll delta to our target value. The multiplier of 0.5 just dials down the sensitivity a bit so it doesn't feel too aggressive. For mobile, I'll add a touch support. On touch start, we record where the finger landed. Then on touch move, we calculate how far the finger has moved since the last frame, add that distance to the scroll target, and update the starting position for the next frame. The 1.2 multiplier just makes the swipe feel a little more responsive on touch devices. Next, let's make that title label actually do something. I'll keep track of which slide is currently at the center using a variable called ActiveSlideIndex, starting at -1 so we know nothing has been set yet. Then I'll write a function called syncActiveTitle. It takes the current scroll offset, loops through every slide, and uses ComputeSlideTransform to check each one's distance from center. Whichever slide has the smallest distance wins. That's our active slide. But here is the key. I only update the DOM if the active slide has actually changed. There is no point rewriting the same text 60 times a second, so we can compare the new closest index against the stored one, and only if they differ do we update the title text. Now let's try everything together with the render loop. I'll create a function called animate. On every frame, it does three things. First, it advances the current scroll toward the target using lerp. That's just adding a fraction of the remaining distance each frame. The scroll lerp value of 0.05 means it covers 5% of the gap per frame, which gives a smooth gradual ease out. Then it calls layout slides with the current scroll value, repositioning every slide along the arc. And it calls syncActiveTitle to check whether the center slide has changed and update the label if needed. At the end, it calls requestAnimationFrame to schedule itself for the next frame, creating a continuous loop that runs as long as the page is open. I'll kick it off with a single call to animate, and from that point on, it runs on its own. If we check browser now, there it is. The full slider scrolling smoothly, slides flowing around the arc, scaling up and down, and the title updating as each slide passes through the center. One last thing, we need to handle window resizes. All of our layout math depends on the viewport dimensions, the center point, the arc baseline. If someone resizes the browser or rotates their device, those values will be stale. So I'll add a resize listener that recalculates the window width, height, horizontal center, and arc baseline whenever the viewport changes. And with that, we are done. A fully infinite scroll-driven arc slider built from scratch with just vanilla JavaScript and GSAP. Clean, configurable, and smooth. Hope you found the video helpful. See you in the next one.